Hello, board game brothers and sisters, and welcome to another episode where I'll be letting you know of Kickstarters launching this week. I also maintain a list on Reddit that goes over Kickstarters launching in the next 30 days, so if you're interested to see more, make sure to check that out. I'll leave a link in the description below. So the day has come where the number 4 game on BGG is finally getting an upgrade. That's right, Terraforming Mars is hitting Kickstarter once again with the Terraforming Mars Big Box Edition. And you can expect this on Kickstarter June 9th. There's no expansion, this is purely for component upgrades and a brand new storage solution. This new box is going to be able to hold all the Terraforming Mars material released to date, and it's also going to replace all your location tiles with brand new sculpts. There's going to be 24 city tiles, 40 forest tiles, 9 ocean tiles, and 14 special tiles. The current game only has 11 of those tiles, so it means 3 more are going to be introduced in this campaign as promos. I'm pretty excited for this because the game's amazing, but the components are absolutely terrible. This is one of the few games I've bought where it actually felt like a knockoff game when I was opening the box. The president of Stronghold Games has already released quite a bit of info on this already in an interview, and he also mentioned that the component upgrade is going to cost about $99 US along with shipping. Along with the interview, there's actually quite a bit of images released of the new terrain tiles, and I gotta say they look pretty awesome. I'll leave a link to all that in the description below so you can check it out for yourself. Also on June 9th, we have Fire Tower Rising Flames, and this plays 2 to 4 players and takes 15 to 30 minutes to play. In this game, each player is going to be guarding their own fire tower while a forest fire erupts around them. The player's goal is to protect their tower by any means necessary. You'll be using all the resources at your disposal, along with using the winds to your advantage to redirect the fire away from your tower. If you can successfully protect your tower and be the last one standing, you win the game. I personally really like the art for this one, and it looks like it'll be really quick to learn and easy to play. Also on June 9th, we have Legends of Dragons, the card game, and I don't have too much info on this one, but what I really thought was interesting with the one sentence I do have is that there's support for a role-playing game. So I'm interested to see how this would integrate with that. And speaking of RPGs, the next game I have for you is 𝗏𝗵𝗲𝗃𝗀𝗃. This is actually an RPG re-implementation of an existing board game that was released a few years ago. The original was a cooperative survival game for 1 to 6 players, and you were dropped into a randomly generated map in a post-apocalyptic world overrun with monsters. If you check out the Board Game Geek page for the original board game, they actually have a link to the quick start for this RPG. So if you want to know more info, you can definitely check that out. I'll leave a link in the description below. Next, we have a 2-player game called Canopy, and it takes about 30 minutes to play. And in this game, players are going to be competing to create the most bountiful rainforest by balancing flora and fauna through set collection. This is done by adding cards to your tableau by looking at different piles of cards and then deciding to take that pile or return it with the cost of one of your own cards. But you're going to have to be careful with the piles you take because the jungle also contains dangers such as fire, disease, and drought. And the last game I have for you on the 9th is called Mini Rogue. This is an award-winning game that was originally offered just as a 9-card print and play. I believe the original game was only a 1-player game, but this new re-implementation of it is going to be a 1 to 2-player game, and it's going to have up to 30 cards instead of the original 9. And in this game, you're just jumping into a dungeon, trying to get a famous ruby, and facing any events and monsters in your way, trying to get out safely. This game takes just 10 to 60 minutes to play. On June 11th, we have Trinidad, and it's a 2 to 5 player game that takes 1.5 to 2.5 hours to play. This looks like a grandiose game with a lot of different mechanisms and a lot of different options for you to decide how you want to play the game. This game takes you back to 1580, and it covers the following 120 years. Each player in this is going to represent the head of a Spanish family, and each player is going to be competing to develop the city in the way that they think is best. It looks like the core mechanism for this is going to be a more complex worker placement system, but the game also includes several other mechanisms like action card combination, character management, trading, and diplomacy. This game comes with miniatures for almost everything in the game, from the different characters to the different buildings. They do provide a preview page, and it looks like the game's going to cost about €75 for the core game and all the stretch goals. If you're interested in this, there's lots of good info on the preview page, so I'll leave a link to that in the description below. And then finally, on June 12th, we have Shelfie Stacker, and this plays 1 to 4 players and takes 20 to 40 minutes to play. This game's not for the faint of heart because it's going to hit pretty close to home. In this game, players are competing to create the most beautiful board game shelf of games they're never going to play. Each round, dice are rolled that represent different board games, and players are going to want to collect those dice and sort them on their shelf in order by color and the number of pips on the die. After the dice are rolled, players are going to play an action card face down that determines the player order for drafting and also gives them a special one-time use ability. Whoever does the best of sorting their shelf gets the most points and wins the game. So this is the part of the video where I let you know of games I backed last week, but before I get to that, that, I just want to let you know that none of these publishers pay me to talk about their games. I do this all for fun, and I'm happy to let you know of all these games, big or small. But just because I do this all for free doesn't mean it's free for me. I'm happy to just have you watching this and to provide good content. But if you'd like to help me and also reward yourself for being so kind, you can check out kickstartergames.com and buy yourself that game you've been waiting to buy. I'll leave a link to that in the description below, but any purchases you make, a small percentage will come back and help this channel, so I really appreciate it. I talked to the owner and he's a really nice guy and he's active in the community, and I really think he does offer something that my viewers are interested in. So I backed 3 campaigns last week, and the first one I backed is Come On Comics. I only backed this for $1 and I'm going to get what I want in the pledge manager, but I'll probably go all in with the exception of the add-ons. Value for this campaign is actually pretty good, even if you're only interested in the minis or only interested in the graphic novels. 𝗏𝗏 Death May Die is my favorite co-op game, so I'm happy to get more content for it at a reasonable price. I actually already released another video on this that goes into more detail that you can check out right here. And the second campaign I backed is the 𝗚cky 𝗚𝗏 rubber ducky dice set. I don't think the quality of these dice are going to be amazing, but I'm a sucker for silly dice and silly things in general, so I want these. Plus they pair well with the fish dice I backed a few weeks ago, so I pretty much had to. And the final campaign I backed last week was actually a campaign that was just launched, and it's called Open Ocean, and it's a reef building card game for 1 to 5 players. I have a bad habit of buying super expensive giant games that scare all my friends away, so when I saw this game I checked it out. So this game actually slipped under my radar and I had no idea it was being released last week. And the Game Boy Geek actually did a really amazing walkthrough of the rules, and it looks like a pretty fun light game that's easy to teach. I recently got rid of my 𝗚cie 𝗿𝗀𝗀, so I'm looking to replace it with a similar game, and I think this really fits the bill. The pledge level is only $24 and the shipping's the most reasonable I've seen all year for a game. And it's always really cool to see a game where the designer did all the artwork as well and it actually looks amazing. At this price, I'm happy to gift the game to someone who would like it if it turns out that I don't like it. But I do think this will stay in my collection, and I'm buying it with the intention of keeping it. That's all I have for you this week, so until next time, remember to keep that shelf cluttered and the table full.